Uncanny Avengers #1, Volume 2, Rick Remender and Daniel Acuna. It's an interesting time capsule of a book because this would be kind of Remender's last little run before Secret Wars. This series would only go 5 issues. It was relaunched for some reason, and it's kind of sad to read it in hindsight, knowing everything that went down and where it would all go. But let's get into it. Hey everybody, this is Perch. Uncanny Avengers was a fairly well appreciated run, I would say, the first volume. It featured the fallout of AVX, and it was the mutants and the Avengers, kind of the X-Men and the Avengers, working together in one team, the Unity team. It featured some pretty, off-ball concepts. We had the Red Skull with, Charles Xavier's brain. We had the whole twin sons of Archangel, who tried to destroy the Earth and create a different portal haven for mutants, and it had some really high-end concepts there that were pretty incredible. I think he told a big grand story. Either liked or he didn't. It was a spiritual follow-up to X-Force. But he did some neat things, and there was some really good characterization, especially in terms of Rogue and Scarlet Witch and their relationship. Some things that was done with Havoc that really made that character a lot more important. I think it really provides some great character building for him. Even Wolverine, we got to see new sides to Wolverine. So Uncanny Avengers #1 launches, and at this point, it's probably well known. It was hitting right before Secret Wars hit, and Remender was definitely starting to be on the outs. And there was a phrase that was used for if you're a music fan, Guns N' Roses, there was an album they did called The Spaghetti Incident in the 90s. And in interviews that followed, the band, I think Slash said, "This is the sound of a band breaking up." And this is the comic of Remender breaking up with Marvel. You can almost read it through the pages. Doesn't mean it's still pretty amazing. So the comic starts on kind of Counter Earth. You don't know what's going on exactly. There's these big animal kind of humanoid creatures, and Quicksilver appears and does Quicksilver things, kind of steals a gun. One fascinating part about Remender is he just knows how to make these characters really work. And when he writes them, they feel unique. They feel very, very distinct. And if you compare it to other things going on at the time, I mean, Hickman also told an amazing story, but he did it with such a large cast, it was easy for people to get lost. Bendis had this habit of all the characters starting to sound and behave kind of the same, with the same kind of snark and humor. Here, everybody has very distinct personalities. So Quicksilver attacks some people. He's kind of breaking up something. And we learn that he and Scarlet Witch have traveled to Counter-Earth as a result of what was revealed in Axis, which was that they're actually not the son and daughter of Magneto. They're not mutants like they thought. That there is a greater mystery to their past, and so they're going to hunt this thing down. So as they outrun and have this kind of race against some of the new humans, the Counter-Earth inhabitants here, they are shocked by a mysterious figure, and they are basically taken out of commission, kidnapped. So that's the cold open to this comic. We flash forward to what seems to be a short time later, at least a week later, and we see that Rogue has assembled some heroes to go out and look for her, which include Brother Voodoo, the Vision, and the Captain America Falcon version of Captain America, and Sabertooth. Now, this is a definitely, like the original Uncanny Avengers, an oddball collection of mutants and humans and people we don't normally see together. What's interesting is that this comic does what other comics do not do, in that we see a Sam Wilson Captain America that's different. That is actually still rising up to the challenge of being Captain America. He's still finding his way. He's still he's not yet the leader, the natural leader that Captain America is, but he has that heroism. He is rising to the challenge, and we're seeing some great characterization there. We're also seeing some neat stuff from Rogue, who started Uncanny Avengers very much hating and maybe wanting to kill Scarlet Witch, and now she's, the time they went to has taught her that friendship, but she's hanging out with Vision, who definitely has an issue. They're referencing Scarlet Witch and it being a ticking time bomb with too much power. Brother Voodoo is here, still kind of coming into his own about what he is as a magician. He was a sorcerer supreme, now he's not, and kind of some of the actions that happened with New Avengers have led that. And then finally, Sabertooth. Sabertooth was inverted, and this was part of the storyline of Axis, where the characters who were evil turn good and all the rest, but it doesn't fit quite nicely on him. He's trying to be a hero, but he still has his same instincts, and they still don't trust him completely. And it's an odd Sabertooth. So we have a lot of people basically here to prove themselves, which was a lot of what Remender did. So in many cases, Rogue is the elder statesman of the group. She's the one who kind of evolved along with Scarlet Witch, and we have a new cast of characters who are being formed and really trying to come into their own. So they investigate this kind of odd cave. They're going to look to try and hunt down Scarlet Witch. At Wundagore Mountain, they do believe that there's some counter-Earth high evolutionary shenanigans perhaps going on. They go into this cave, and Brother Voodoo starts to do a spell to teleport to counter-Earth to go kind of hunt her down. But as he's in the middle of that, he's suddenly attacked by a sentinel of the New Men. And this prevents him from finishing the spell properly, and so the Avengers are scattered. Brother Voodoo goes to a spiritual realm of the dead, which is going to be a tough challenge for him. And so we're going to learn a bit more. We get the mystical part. The Vision is transported to a tech kind of society there, where he discovers an Eve, a humanoid, a female robot or what android that is wanting to is basically, how do you not know your Eve, Adam? And this was, of course, before the Vision storyline. So this would also, I think, this built the seeds for what Tom King ultimately did. It's interesting, by the way, when you look at this issue, how many writers that followed and did their own stories basically took beats and plot points from here. In many cases, never acknowledged it. But definitely the ground was laid for things that would happen with Rogue, things that would happen with Vision, with Sabertooth, with Captain America Falcon. So there's some definite pieces here that Remender started. Rogue is of course kidnapped, and she's basically this mad scientist is going to pull Simon Williams from her mind, where he's been since the previous version. And Sam Wilson, Captain America, is in the worst possible place. He's been basically tied up to this kind of organic plant piece, and he discovers that the other captives are being slowly turned into kind of wood-like creatures. And then he's stabbed in the heart, and so begins his transformation. So he's in bad shape. And finally, we catch up with Sabertooth, who's off his leash or his shackle, and he's immediately in a bad place. He's in a perfect place with perfect people. He does not a scent he recognizes. He's in perfection. And the other people are saying, gene trash, mongrel, go back to your sewer. And finally, the High Evolutionary makes his appearance along with some of his new men, kind of Imperial Guard, to say, we'll deal with this vermin. So, and that's the first issue. So it sets up a bunch of things. The way this comic shakes out is that we get 5 issues. Unfortunately, just 5, and then it's over. And it features, it's really amazing actually what is managed to be accomplished. We get some follow-up to Quicksilver Scarlet Witch's story, which, while wasn't perfect, it was nice to at least get some little bit of after effect that wasn't handled in Axis. So it feels like it fulfills a bit of that story. We get some redemption out of Sabertooth. We see how he's handling things. We get the feeling that he knows that he's trying to do good. He's trying to take this attempt at humanity, but it is slipping away. He knows that the kind of his bad nature is slowly coming back, and the blood's still going to be on his hands. Very similar in many ways to the journey that Wolverine went through. So there's some parallels there, and we see that. We get some really nice resolution to Brother Voodoo that was kind of left dangling from the Bendis run. And there's some, we continue to get Rogue kind of proving how she's evolved through this series. And we get some Vision lead up that would absolutely, in many cases, be the basis for that Tom King storyline that everybody loves so much. A lot of the origins were here. At the same time, this was definitely Remender's leaving Marvel series. This was the 5 issues. This was a series that, came in the mix of a lack of support. When he wrote the Captain America storyline, not only was he attacked on the trash news sites for encouraging an underage relationship, which was absolutely not what was happening. But a lot of people within Marvel, I mean, they came to a very passive defense of him in a lot of cases, and I think it definitely shows that you had this writer who was poised to really kind of be a heart of Marvel. He was intended to take over X-Men. If you think about it, this would be years before Hickman would come in and do what he's done last year. That could have been incredibly powerful. But the whole mandates around the Inhumans, kind of editorial interference, the lack of support, a lot of the undermining that was going on from both in and out of the company, there's some bitterness in kind of the pages and how they pull out. An amazing story. It's 5 issues, but it's quite impressive how much was accomplished and how just spot on he always was with his characterization. But it's interesting to watch go down. Anyway, what do you think of this issue? It is a fascinating time capsule of a comic, so I recommend checking it out. 5 issues, Rick Remender, Daniel Acuna, great story, great art. Ultimately, kind of the last. There would be one more Secret Wars story that Remender would do, but this is kind of his real end at his time at Marvel. Very bittersweet where that's concerned. But what do you think? Leave me a comment below. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. Introduce to a friend. Follow me on Twitter or Facebook at Comic Perch. And thanks for listening.